welcome to your Valentine's Day 2018 video. Now this year in 2018, Valentine's Day occurs on Ash Wednesday. That's the first day of Lent. So this is going to be an extremely important sacrificial type of Valentine's Day. And you know how the Cupid is going to shoot his arrow through the heart? That's really going to be a lot more evident when it is on the same day as Ash Wednesday. So this is very important. It's February 14th, again, 2018. We're going to give you astrology, horoscope, houses, zodiac angels, planetary archangels, gemstone magic, and teach you how to really bring in that love magic, bring in, use your gemstones, rosaries, things like that to really bring in the romantic energy, the love magic, so you can utilize this in a productive way rather than a way that might become too hurtful. Because how do you know when you're in love? It has to hurt a little bit, doesn't it? So what you have to do is make sure that you really want to have this be something that's productive, not counterproductive. We're going to show you how to do that right now. Now, we want you to, if you're interested in finding out how to get a reading or spiritual consultation or any kind of information on love magic, romance magic, these kind of things, psychic astrology, you can visit my website at www.readingsbyrosemary.com. Now, the love magic is going to be what we're going to talk about in the beginning. Then we're going to get into the planetary, astrological, and zodiacal correspondences. We're going to give you some of the Latin words and some of the Hebrew words, because all of this, again, is a study of Kabbalah. So get ready to make some love magic happen on Valentine's Day, which happens on February 14th. Again, it's 2018, coinciding during this particular year on Ash Wednesday, which is the first day of Lent. It's a time of sacrifice. Now, just exactly who would want to sacrifice anything when it comes to matters of love, romance, gifting of one's own heart in exchange for another? Sacrifice grants sumptuous sensations of pangs which yearn for one's heart to be bitten into, tasted, and enjoyed by another. Now, romantic interests peak when each person desires to give away their heart to another. In Tarot, Ace of Hearts is such a happening of falling in love. Remember that an arrow from Cupid, son of love goddess Venus and war god Mars, as described in most popular Roman lineage discourses and disclosures, shoots each love partner through their hearts, causing a sensation of longing, which is later relieved by Two of Hearts. That is being in love. So Ace of Hearts, falling in love, and the Two of Hearts being in love, a very big difference. When one is feeling, sort of almost painful desire is relieved by receiving what one truly requires. General rituals for love magic, especially on St. Valentine's Day, should, of course, include correspondences from monthly factors of February, Venusian aspects for love from planet Venus, and martial facets for passion from planet Mars. Although magician should be extra mindful that Venus or Aphrodite has a poisonous nature and Mars or Aries possesses a warlike quality. Therefore, only use a pinch of passionate Mars and a watchful dollop of Venus, keeping her influence true rather than fetid. Luna grants us sexuality, and therefore moonlight must be incorporated into any magical love spell. Now, for the general love magic for St. Valentine's Day, we want to again give you the Kabbalistic correspondences that you can utilize during this time. So we're going to be talking about some of the astrological correspondences. Again, we're going to be giving you some of the Roman and the Hebrew nomenclature, so you can, make use of it in your own culture, whatever is best for you. Okay, so the general love magic for St. Valentine's Day, this is now St. Valentine's Day associations. Again, it's February 14th, and it's when St. Valentine's Day is celebrated by Christians. Evoking, which is calling upon, invoking, calling into magical circle, or invoking, calling into oneself, passionate martyrdom. Be very mindful of martyrdom rituals, because St. Valentine festivals rights work, and powerfully so. It will work, and very potently so. Valentine's Day, or St. Valentine's Day, being on the 14th of the month of February, occurs during the zodiac sign of Aquarius. That's when the sun is transiting through Aquarius with amethyst. You want to use amethyst as being the gemstone to utilize, or the birthstone to utilize, while you want to use benzoin, myrrh, or peppermint is the perfume that you can utilize. You can also use something like this, like a pyramid that's made of amethyst. And remember, benzoin, myrrh, or peppermint are the incense or perfume, that are the herbs that you want to use. Now, zodiac angel is Cambriel, bringing natural 11th house attributes of friends and reputation into play. So we're talking about the natural 11th house. The Hebrew month, the Hebrew association for Aquarius, the water bearer, is the Hebrew month is Shavat. Okay, so that's the Hebrew month, and the constellation is Dali. Okay, now again, remember, this is St. Valentine's Day on the 14th of February, and it occurs during the sign of Aquarius, the sun's transit through Aquarius. And the zodiac angel is Cambriel, and that's going to really bring those natural 11th house attributes of friends and reputation into play. Now, the virtues of Aquarius, the water bearer, is social fairness, while the vice is willfulness. Occurring during the Hebrew month of Shavat, again, this spring rite of sacrifice associates with the Hebrew constellation of Dali, and is associated in popular culture with the tribe of Israel, Reuben, which is evoked or invoked using Hebrew letter Zadi. And Psalm 119, and that's verses 137 to 144. This is how you can invoke. Remember, natural 11th house, Aquarius the water bearer. Remember, it is fixed air. Even though it's Aquarius the water bearer, it is fixed air. And during this age of Aquarius that we're in now, this is really going to be a powerful time. That zodiac angel is going to be Cambriel. The house, the 11th house attributes is going to affect friends and reputation, which is very important to people, especially during the age of Aquarius. And that's also the virtue of Aquarius is social fairness. And remember, the other side of the coin, the vice, is willfulness. Okay, you want to evoke Psalm 119, chapter 119, Psalm 119, verses 137 and 144. Use that Hebrew letter Zadi. On some Bibles, you're going to see Zadi written right above that portion from 137 and 144 in Psalm 119. Not all Bibles do that, but some of them do. Now, Venus planetary associations, Venus aligns with love. The planet Venus aligns with love, romance, and treachery. Planetary angel for Venus is Hanael, with scent being rose oil, while sapphire and clear diamonds, you want to use quartz crystal, clear diamonds. You want to use zircon, something like that, white topaz for the gemstone correspondence. Daleth represents the associated Hebrew letter. That's the tarot card of Daleth. You want to go ahead, and it associates with the Empress card in the tarot deck. Remember, these are flashcards, Kabbalistic flashcards. So remember, Daleth for the planet Venus represents associated Hebrew letter, and Psalm 119, verses 25 to 32 for the planet Venus, biblical correspondence. Now, this is the Empress, and in the Rider-Waite deck, So you want to utilize Hanael. Now, regarding Mars, the planetary Mars, because Venus, is often said to be a planet, a feminine planet, and Mars a masculine planet, even though, with that said, Venus occurs on the masculine side of the Kabbalistic tree, and the planet Mars occurs on the feminine side of the tree. Nevertheless, Mars runs through the male body, the warrior body, and Venus runs through that Aphrodite, that love goddess energy on the masculine side of the tree, but runs through the feminine body. because you cannot live in all good or all evil. You have to exist in the nexus between the two. Light and dark, good and evil, all of that. You have to exist in the nexus between the two. Now getting to Mars, the planetary associations. Now Mars is going to align with passion, courage, and war or violence. Planetary angel for Mars is Samael, often associated with a dragon. Samael, often associated with a dragon, with the scent being cinnamon or tobacco. Now, of course, some of these things, as we know, tobacco is something that is not recommended. It's not healthy. But some people use it as a perfume lightly in the background for Mars rituals, or cinnamon if you don't want to utilize tobacco. And again, you can use like a cinnamon oil, and it's sometimes nicer in a censer because it doesn't have quite so much of that smoky smell to it. Now, coral or red coral for gemstone correspondence for Mars. Okay, you can get your rosaries, and again, you can go to the Daughters of St. Paul. I get mine here in Honolulu, and that's Pauline's Books and Media is run by the Daughters of St. Paul. So you can go to Pauline's Books and Media if you want to find your Bibles. You can also get bracelets. Coral or red coral, you can utilize those. Very helpful for pulling in that kind of energy that you're trying to pull in and be able to utilize it properly. That's the gemstone correspondence. Now, the Hebrew letter is Pe, represents associated Hebrew letter, and the Psalm 119 verses 129 to 136 is the biblical correspondence. The tarot card is the Tower. Okay, the Tower is associated with the planet Mars. So you want to be aware of that. There's a lot of intense energy. So again, you want to make sure you know what you're doing when you're utilizing these energies. So again, that brings the passion in, but you don't want so much passion that you end up having problems. You want to make sure that you have, only a very little bit of Mars energy if you're trying to get some kind of association where you're trying to get passion or you're trying to get that energy. Because remember, the parasympathetic nervous system is the part of the nervous system that is more peaceful, and the sympathetic nervous system is more for the stress and the fight or flight. So remember that any kind of sexual energy you're trying to invoke or evoke or invoke, anytime you're doing that, what you're doing is you're setting off the fight or flight, because the same exact energy is violence. So when an animal goes to try to kill, like some kind of tiger or lion or carnivore tries to kill an animal that is not a carnivore, one of the prey, like like an elk or something like that with antlers, you're going to end up with that sympathetic system response, that sympathetic nervous system, that stress, fight or flight. So remember, you want to try to bring in a lot of peaceful love energies and compassion energies. And you might want to use a pink rose instead of a red rose so that you have more compassion, because again, this is going to be an intense event, and it could be very, very sacrificial if you don't do it with a lot of compassion. And some softer colors, like again, pink for compassion instead of maybe the deep red that is more for that passion versus compassion. That's what you're trying to invoke. Now, the moon planetary, considered an ancient planet, the moon was considered an ancient planet by the ancients, considered a planet. The associations are as follows. Now, Luna or the moon aligns with, again, sexuality, change, interplays of darkness and light. Planetary angel for Luna is Gabriel. Gabriel. You might have a more masculine representation of Gabriel. With the scent being amber, you can utilize like an amber resin. And you can utilize also, you want to use really for the moonstone. You want to get some kind of moonstone that you can get. And you want to evoke that kind of sort of the moon energy that you want to invoke is going to be, again, you want it softer. You don't want it to be too intense, because again, it's going to be an intense event. That's the gemstone correspondence, the moonstone for Luna or the moon, obviously. Now, Gimel is the Hebrew letter that represents it actually means camel. Gimel means camel. So that represents the associated Hebrew letter Gimel, and Psalm 119 verses 17 to 24 is a biblical correspondence. The tarot card that you should use would be the High Priestess, which is what you use for the moon. With the pillars of Yakim and Boaz, as you can see there. So please understand that although the moon card isn't for the moon, it's for the sign of Pisces, the fish. So understand that difference so that you make sure you use the right card, because you want to use the High Priestess for the more pure lunar energy. Now, for the solar planetary, the sun, the energies for that, it's considered an ancient planet, the sun also. The associations for soul or the sun aligns with success, leadership, magnanimous compassion. Planetary angel for soul is going to, of course, always be the Archangel Michael. Michael was sent being frankincense, clove, or you want to use for your association sunstone. You want to use some kind of sunstone, or you want to use some kind of citrine. You can also use ruby. This is a raw ruby. You can use ruby. And also, what you also might want to do is you want to go ahead and utilize, even a yellow or orange diamond is very, very evocative of that magnanimous energy, that solar energy. And for the gemstone correspondence, again, there's a lot of associations, but for the perfume or the incense, use frankincense or clove. Now, Resh, the Hebrew letter Resh represents the Hebrew correspondence for the letter, and the Psalm is 119 verses 153 to 160 is the biblical association, the biblical correspondence. The tarot card is the sun, for the sun. Okay, so that is and you can use the tarot cards. Also, remember, you can use them in any kind of ritual. You use the incense, you draw the Hebrew letter, that kind of thing. You can use the card, and it's very easy. You don't have to get too fancy. You want to have your rosary. You can recite your rosary. It's most powerfully if done in Latin. You can wear the jewelry. That's the kind of thing that you want to go ahead and utilize, because it's very, very powerful. Now, for specific astrological transits for February 14th of 2018, what you want to probably do if you want to get very specific for this particular one, because what I just gave you can use for any Valentine's Day, but for this particular one, when it falls on this particular day and it falls on Ash Wednesday, add planetary Archangel Raphael, as well as planetary correspondences provided here to align with planet Mercury for Ash Wednesday, which is on February 14th in 2018. Now, Mercury aligns with communication, messaging, and mental acuity, intelligence, and quick wit. You want to use star anise for the perfume correspondence, while emerald or moss agate are going to be your helpful gemstone associations. Remember, you can get these at Pauline's Books and Media. You can get your Bibles there. You can utilize those. It's very powerful. The statues are extremely powerful, and they have great incense there too. Now, you can use emerald or moss agate for the gemstone. They're very helpful gemstone associations for this planetary association for the planet Mercury. That is aligned with Wednesday. So very important that it's on Ash Wednesday. Now, Beth is the Hebrew letter. It represents the corresponding Hebrew association for the Hebrew letter, and Psalm 119 verses 9 to 16 may be utilized as biblical scripture association. The tarot card to use for Mercury is the Magician. The Magician is utilized for Mercury as above so below, as below so above, from the Emerald Tablet of Hermes Trismegistus, also known as Raphael, the Archangel, Saint Raphael, also known as Thoth. There's many correspondences for this being who is obviously an ascended master. Now, it's important to note here that a good source of information for Kabbalistic tarot card correspondences is the new Golden Dawn Ritual Tarot deck created by Sandra Tabitha Cicero, published by Llewellyn. That is a really good deck if you want to go ahead and have a deck that is good for really getting a lot of those wonderful astrological and planetary and the zodiac sign information, but is still easy enough and simple enough that it's not so many that you're overwhelmed, especially if you're kind of in, not necessarily beginning, but if you really want to really constantly have a reminder of what tarot card is associated with which element, which zodiac sign, and also which planet. Okay? Now, Venus is in Pisces, Mars is in Sagittarius, Moon in Aquarius, and the Sun is going to be in Aquarius during this particular, that's the specific day. Remember, the general information we gave you can use for any Valentine's Day, St. Valentine's Day, but for the specific one that falls on Ash Wednesday, you want to go ahead and utilize the specifics, and that's, remember, Venus will be in Pisces, Mars in Sagittarius, the Moon in Aquarius, and the Sun in Aquarius. A disclaimer is in order here. High magic should be used with all mindfulness, since powerful forces of manifestation are unleashed. This is intended exclusively for entertainment purposes. Information found in this document is based on the oral tradition known as Kabbalah, taught to me by Rosicrucian clergy when I was but a young girl, the facts of which I've committed to memory. Thank you for joining us, and please join us again.